We've all experienced the COVID-19 lockdown, and I'm sure you're all the same as me. You're getting a bit toey and wanting to get out and about. The regional borders of Western Australia were lifted a week or so ago, so we're free to travel within Western Australia now. So I thought we should go out to the Goldfields of Western Australia, out near Coolgardie and Kalgoorlie, and have a look at some of the old ghost towns and see what we can see. We're 40 k's north of Coolgardie, which is a goldfields town around 500 k's east of Perth. I'm visiting some ghost towns, and the first one we've got to is Kunanalling. The Kunanalling Hotel is a nice looking hotel, fairly significant structure. The population in 1898 was around 360 people. The population did get to around 800 before the gold started to run out and the town slowly diminished. So far, we haven't seen a lot else in the town other than this nice looking hotel. Next, we attempted to locate the Kunanalling cemetery using coordinates and a navigator. We got to the location, but all we found were the remains of an old fence, an axe head, an old wire fence strainer device, and another piece of metal which I can't identify. We're at one of the old ghost towns, Kurnalpi, east of Kalgoorlie, and this is one of the two cemeteries here. Gold was discovered here in 1894, a town site gazetted in 1995, police station and post office were established. The population only got to 262 here, and typical of most ghost towns, finding water was an issue. There's 7 graves lined up in the cemetery. This appears to be all that's left of the old Kurnalpi ghost town. A few poles in the ground, a few bits of concrete, and some old cactus type of vegetation. This is the second cemetery just west of Kurnalpi. Appears to be 11 graves here, only one with a significant headstone. We just had a bit of a look around the old ghost town of Kanowna, which is located about 40 odd k's northeast of Kalgoorlie, somewhere around there. It was clearly a sizable town in its day, but there's not much left now other than lots of diggings, piles of dirt from the diggings, and the old cemetery. Based on the signs, we know there was a post office, a courthouse, and a hospital, and the rest of the signs are in poor condition. We're at the old Kanowna cemetery. They call it the old cemetery because Back in its day, they were digging holes around the cemetery. Gold was found, and they decided that this square, which was the cemetery, probably contained gold. So they got permission and mined through the middle of the cemetery. So we have graves on one side and graves on the other, and digging through the middle. They decided it was okay to do that because the middle was vacant. Fair enough. When gold was discovered in the now known as the old Kanowna cemetery, they were forced to relocate the cemetery, so they moved it a few k's closer to Kalgoorlie, and this is that site here. There's also a couple of graves, Japanese graves, in the cemetery, and it turns out they were victims of an incident. I won't go into any more details. They were murdered. This is the town of Bulong, another ghost town in the Goldfields. We're about 32 k's east of Kalgoorlie, and we're actually standing on the intersection of two main roads of Bulong, back in its day that is. On that corner there was a hotel. Now Bulong, gold was discovered in 1893, the town was gazetted in 1895. The population grew to 620 odd, and in its day, in 1900, I've got to read off my list because this town was impressive. Bulong had its own road board, warden's court, 6 hotels, 3 stores, a mechanics institute, miners institute, hospital, a school, police station, telegraph office, post office, 3 churches, and of course a brewery to serve the population of 620. This town was a beauty, but there's nothing left now. Incidentally, this plaque, which happens to be on the intersection of the 2 main roads in Bulong, was erected to celebrate the Halford family who travelled across the Nullarbor with 200 head of cattle, arriving here Christmas Day 1904, and they thought, what a wonderful place, and they stayed. Our information tells us that Bulong also had a recreation oval, and we believe that this cleared area is most likely the remains of the oval. We were driving around Bulongish having a look, and we noticed all these green trees everywhere, and we could hear birds whistling. So we came over to have a look, and there's this fantastic old tank. And the tank is there because over here there's a dam, a water supply. One of the many shafts at Bulong. This one here, I can look down, I can see a ladder starting about 10 metres down, and it just keeps on going. It disappears into the darkness. It gives me the creeps looking down there. Just, whew, no way would I go down there. And here it is, the Bulong Cemetery. All these old towns, it's one thing they have in common. They all have a cemetery. Well, that's it for this trip. We only got to 4 towns this time, but it was good fun. As you can see, some have considerable structures and some don't have much at all. There's a big list of towns that I want to go to, so there's more to come.